Hey there, beautiful person. This video is for everyone, especially for those of us over 40. The struggle is real, and I am right there in the trenches with you. Lowering body fat is not only good for your self-esteem because you know you'll look better, but more importantly, it is for your quality of life and reducing all your major disease risk factors, every single one of them. Today, it's really exciting because I'm going to give you a step-by-step plan on how to lower body fat. It has worked with hundreds and hundreds of my patients, and I'm hoping that it will work for you today. Just stick with me. Hey there, this is Lindy Ford, registered dietitian, clinical and licensed nutritionist and nutrition detective. You honor me by being here today. Thank you so much, and I take this very seriously. I always give you the most up-to-date research that I can find on all of these health topics. So it's not just things that are fly-by-night. These are things that are proven and also proven with my own patients, who I really have seen hundreds and hundreds of people, and with myself, who I use as a guinea pig quite often. And let me tell you, when it comes to this area of body fat, I totally understand, because I feel like I am in the fight of my life when it comes to this, because it is harder as we get older. And I've never been a tiny person, so it's something that I've always had to work on. And I follow the things that I'm going to give you, and my body fat right now is in a really good place. But before we get into it, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. If you do, we are going to just be posting and posting and posting and posting this year, just information that's going to benefit you and your family. Now, when I say body fat, I mean the percentage of body fat that you have on your body, and that is more of an indicator of good health than that number on your scale. I am seeing it more and more, even with younger and younger people coming in to see me. People in their 20s and 30s have excessive amounts of body fat. They may look kind of normal, but there's always that roll right around the belly area. And okay, listen, I don't judge people. I really don't. So I don't look at them and think, oh, they're just gonna look really bad on the beach when they get their bathing suit on. I don't think that way, okay? What I'm thinking in my mind is like a health practitioner. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, here is somebody who is careening towards all of the major diseases. And let me just give you a few. This is a short, ugly list of just a few. And that's diabetes and heart disease and increased blood pressure and increased lipids and fatty liver. I'm actually going to link 2 links below on how to detect if you have fatty liver and how to get rid of that. So look at those links below. And also Alzheimer's. It's interesting. You know, insulin is something I'm going to talk about, and that is the number one culprit. Well, insulin actually contributes to those amyloid plaques that build up in the brain that contribute to Alzheimer's as well as dementia, and also stroke. So that's the ugly list. And I can't imagine anybody would raise their hand and want any of those things. And I'm certainly passionate about it because I saw these diseases, 2 of these diseases actually really take my parents' lives in their early 50s. So it's nothing to, and I know that both of my parents always struggled with huge, huge amounts of body fat, though they weren't significantly that much overweight. They just had a lot of body fat. So we're just going to play the Jeff Foxworthy game again. Remember the Jeff Foxworthy game where I say, if you go to family reunions to find a date, then you may be a redneck, right? Well, if you have these conditions, you probably have too much body fat, and you need to work on it now. Do not be in despair when I especially show you a number that you need to be in that place. Do not get depressed about it. Start to work. Get angry at bad health, okay? And the number one way that you can detect, well, let me just tell you, is your waist circumference, okay? Now, there is a body fat testing. I actually did one this year with, and hey, big shout out to my doc friends over at Total Wellness. They have a very sophisticated machine, something you probably would not find in a gym. It's called the Seca. It's SECA, and this is as accurate as really a DEXA scan. I mean, it's very, very accurate in detecting body fat. Now, when I had to get some courage up to go and have that done, because actually I was a little afraid of it at my age, but I had it done and I was in the green section, but that makes me realize that I have to stay in that section, okay, that with body fat. It's a wonderful tool, and you can go have that done over at Total Wellness. But if you don't have a machine like that, or you don't have access to one, these are some of the ways that you can detect if you have too much body fat, and that is your waist circumference. This is huge, guys. I mean, absolutely huge. So what you want to do is just take a soft tape measure. A soft tape measure. You're going to find your little belly button, okay? Just be brave, be brave. This is not easy to do. I realize I don't like doing it either, but you're going to go up about an inch, and find your natural waistline. Your natural waistline is about an inch above your belly button, and you are going to get your waist to height ratio. That's one of the best ways of detecting that you have too much body fat. So what you're going to do, and you know, the reason I say that is because there was a 2010 study out of the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism that took 11,000 people for 8 years, and they checked their waist to height ratio. And after that time, they found that that it was a better indicator of the risk for heart disease, stroke, and death. It was better than in BMI or any of the other indices. So interesting. Also, a waist to hip ratio is another good way of tracking this. Now, you're going to be really brave. You're going to get this number and you're going to work on it if it is not where I'm going to tell you it should be. So all you do is you take your waist and you divide it by your height in inches. And let's say you're a female and you have a 36-inch waist. You divide that by 66 if you are 5'6", so that would be your height in inches would be 66 inches, and that would give you 0.55, okay? You actually are at an increased risk of all the major diseases that I just mentioned at a 0.55. So your goal this year would be to get under 0.5. 0.5 is your magic number. Now, I'm right now at a 0.47, but let me tell you something. I've never had a tiny waist, even when I was 20 years old. So I have to work at this. I come from a family. I mean, a family of huge belly people. I mean, huge, okay? So it is something that is in my genes. I'm hereditarily predisposed to body fat, so I have to work at this, and I'm going to tell you how I do it, okay? To keep it at that 0.47, or I'd actually like to get it even below that this year. Here are some of the other ways that you can detect if you really need to lower your body fat, you have too much, if you crave sweets and carbs. Now, if you have too much body fat, if you have too much belly fat, you are something called insulin resistant. Okay, and I did a video on that. I'll link that below, but that is so important to know that it is because you have too much insulin just traipsing around your body, and you need to get rid of that. Okay, also, if your weight has plateaued, if you lost a little bit of weight, but you just, no matter what you do, you can be in the gym like 2 hours a day and still not lose weight. That is a sign that you may have too much body fat. Also, if you have chronic stress equals too much cortisol. You could be on a keto diet, guys, and be literally consuming 0 carbs with no glucose traipsing around in your blood and still have an insulin response. Cortisol will trigger insulin. Remember that with stress. Also, you need sweets after meals. I've always been this way. Since I was a teenager, I've always had blood sugar issues. I've always had body fat issues, right? And so I've always just craved a sweet, and I could be totally full. Like I couldn't even eat any. I really didn't want anything else, but I would want something sweet. Now I have since gotten away from that because of my eating habits, but it was something that plagued me for many years. And also just general fatigue. I know fatigue could mean a whole lot of things, but when people have too much body fat, when they have insulin resistance, they're going to have fatigue. Also, you just get sick more often because insulin lowers your immune system. Also, you have a lot of brain fog. Another big key to insulin resistance and body fat. You know what, guys? When you're insulin resistant, that means your cells are not responsive anymore to insulin. That means that the insulin really can't do its job in getting the glucose to the cells and doing what it's supposed to do. And it gives up. It gives up. And guess what it does? It just goes right to body fat. So listen, beautiful people. Your health comes first. I know a lot of you want to lose weight. I know probably 80 to 90% of you watching want to lose weight. But I'm telling you, the best thing that you can do is choose these healthy habits first. Get your body fat down and the weight will follow. I always say that health first and then weight loss. You know, excess body fat is really a symptom of poor health. So, okay, here are my steps. They're not really that hard. They're just not. And it's not rocket science, guys. But it does take determination on your part to do these things. Okay, number one is to lower your carbohydrate load. I know you knew I was going to say that. I know you do. And mostly that's going to be your grains, meaning your wheat products, your rice, your and any of your grain products, cornmeal and that kind of thing. Those grain products really do increase your glucose in your blood, which increases insulin. Now, some of them can be healthy and some of you can get away with a little bit more. I can't. I have to keep my grains very, very low. I do eat them and I eat them, but I eat them sparingly. I just did a video on how to eat a low carb diet and I'm going to link that below if you want some specifics. Okay, number 2 is don't consume excess animal protein. This is the problem with a lot of the high protein or Atkins type of diets. Okay, so they're waking up in the morning and eating a pound of bacon, and that's not really working for a lot of people, because here's what the newer studies show. Even though protein has zero carbs, so it's not going to produce a lot of glucose in your blood. When protein is broken down, the too many amino acids can trigger an insulin response. Also, it creates too much oxidative stress in your body, too much stress on your kidneys, eating too much protein. I tell all of my women, all of them, only 4 ounces per meal, only up to 4 ounces per meal. Men up to 6 ounces. And if this is a man who's a younger guy who's bodybuilding or exercising a whole lot, he can go probably up to 8 ounces, but that's it, okay? Number 3, don't eat so often. Okay, this is completely different than what I used to tell people. And I was taught that, I was educated in the 90s, back in the Stone Age. And we were taught that frequent meals, this was really a hypothesis. There really was it's interesting because I looked this up. There were no studies to back this up. Not one. It was a hypothesis that just got perpetrated on the public. And we all believed it, that grazing was good for us. Actually, grazing is not good for us. We need to eat 2 to 3 meals a day, because every time you eat, even if you're eating a very low carb meal, you're still creating an insulin response. You're still creating insulin, and you want to keep that insulin response to as few episodes as possible during your day, okay? So that means that you need to eat very high nutrient dense foods every time you eat. If you have to snack, a little bit of a low carb snack is okay, but try to really get most of your nutrients into those meals, most of your calories into those meals, and get through the day that way. Train your body to do that. And I have been doing that, and it really works. There was a study that was done. They took participants and gave them 1,500 calories across the board, 1,500 calories a day. They gave one group 3 meals a day, and they gave one group 6 meals a day. Guess who lost the most weight? Yep, the ones that ate the 3 meals a day and they had the same amount of calories. Interesting, huh? So number 4, raise your heart rate daily. This is proven to lower body fat. Now, you non-exercisers, listen to me. Listen, are you listening? Okay. Do not go hit the gym and try to do an hour of high intensity aerobics every day or even 3 times a day. You're gonna first of all, it's very hard to stick to something like that, but also you're gonna burn out or you're gonna injure yourself. How many times have I heard that? I would be rich if I had $1 for every time I've heard the fact that this person goes off and wants to exercise like a maniac, especially at the beginning of the year, and then they just peter out by February. Don't do that, okay? The best way to do that is to consistency, getting your heart rate up. Now, if you are an exerciser, you're gonna wanna up your game a little bit. Let me tell you how to do that. Well, first of all, find out what your best fat burning beats per minute would be, okay? So this is going to be where you're going to burn the most fat, and here is the equation. It is 220 minus your age times 0.70. That gives you the beats per minute where you should be when you're getting your heart rate up, okay? Now, what we're finding with studies, okay, is that the interval training, I don't know, you can call it interval training, you can call it burst, you can call it HIIT, H-I-I-T training, is when they're getting you up into that fat burning zone, that fat burning beats per minute, and then bringing you back down. And then putting you up and getting you back down. I did one this morning. It took me only 20 minutes, okay? I don't have time for a gym. They're great. I wish I did, maybe someday, but I don't right now. So I do these high intensity workouts, and I just found it on YouTube, guys. You can get videotapes, you can find them online, you can get apps. There's so many places that you can get it. Okay, number 6, you're going to want to lower your stress. I heard a keto person talking one time, and I don't follow a keto diet, I follow a low carb diet, but I heard a keto person talking one time, and she was saying that she was really doing well, losing weight, losing weight, and all of a sudden she was eating the same thing that she had always eaten, almost like no carbs at all, no carbohydrates, lots of fat, moderate protein, and she wasn't losing weight. And she said there were 3 or 4 significant stressors in her life. One being a big home renovation that would stress anybody out. Stress signals cortisol out of your adrenal glands. Cortisol triggers an insulin response, and you could be doing absolutely 0 carbs, okay? So I don't know what that means to you. I have no idea what that means to you. That could be not overscheduling. That could be, getting up a little bit earlier and doing some of those exercises. Moderate exercise. Too much exercise will actually increase cortisol. For me, that means I have to wake up a little bit earlier, and I have something called a quiet time. Maybe that's what you need, where you're just thinking about your day. I use it as a prayer meditation. I read a Bible every day. I have to. And also I have to, this isn't you, I'm not saying this has to be you, but I have to give things over to my Creator, or I cannot get through this life, okay? So find out what it is that is going to lower stress. It could be every day you're just going to take aromatherapy bath, just so many things that you're not going to work so much, or you're going to work more. I don't know what it is, but find ways to lower those stressors. Maybe staying away from toxic people. I don't know. There's stressors. That we live in a very stressful world, guys, and so we have to find ways to deal with it. Okay. All right. So I hope that was helpful. All of those things I do. I am so feeling your pain. I am so on the cusp. I'm always on the edge of really having too much body fat, and I have to work at it. Guys, I have to work at it. I've always had to work at it. Even when I was 25, I had to work at it. So I understand. So thank you for joining me today. Please subscribe to this channel. Also, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Lindy Ford Nutrition and Wellness, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. Please find me in those places. Please find me. And thank you again for joining me today. Remember that every single person out there deserves to have less body fat and they deserve to be optimally healthy. Thank you.